Hi everyone, welcome to the Music and Drama Games and Activities live stream. I will just wait a couple of minutes for some people to join. Sorry I'm a bit late, I had some technical difficulties. Of course, I couldn't get my video to share. I hope everyone's having a great evening. Okay, so I might get started. So this evening I thought I would share with you some music and drama games and activities. I thought it's a great topic for educators as many teachers aren't confident teaching the arts, and I know a lot of schools don't actually have music and drama teachers, especially as specialist teachers, so a lot of teachers are having to do it themselves in the classroom. So I hope that I can give you a few ideas that you can use in your classroom. Now, many of the games don't necessarily have to be used in a music or a drama class. You might just like to use it with your students as a fun activity or as sort of rewards at the end of the day. A little bit about me. I work for Twinkl as a social media assistant. But I also teach primary classroom music here in Queensland, in Australia. I've been an instrumental music teacher as well in Australia, and I've spent about 7 years teaching in London, both as a music teacher and as a general classroom teacher as well. Over the years, I've been very lucky to pick up lots of different games and activities from other teachers and from different PDs that I have done. I was very lucky to participate in a PD. It was a year-long PD with the Royal Opera House in London, and they taught us so many different games and tricks and things to encourage music and instill confidence in students in the classroom. So a few of those games I'm going to show you tonight, so I hope they are really helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to pop in a comment. I will try to keep an eye on the comments as well, but at the end I will definitely answer questions, so if I haven't answered you, I will get to them at the end. I've just seen that a question was if the slides will be available. Yes, we have actually made this into a resource as well, a Twinkl resource. So in the comments in the info for the video, the live video, you can find a link, so you'll be able to go to the slides and download that. Okay, let's hope everything works smoothly. So first I thought I would talk to you about the benefits of arts education. So they've done a lot of studies and they've seen that learning music and drama and the arts leads to higher test scores, but it's also really great for students to just give them a more rounded education. Some of the things that it helps with are language and communication, especially in younger children. That's why learning rhymes and songs are really helpful for younger children. Cognitive development, rational thinking, so reasoning, interpretive skills, and critical thinking. Memory, confidence and self-esteem, listening and auditory skills, concentration, math skills. They're using a lot of maths in music, especially when you're thinking about playing different beats and having to divide beats. There's some division aspects there. Creativity and self-expression, stress relief and just personal well-being, and emotional development. It's really helpful for that. It's a nice relaxing thing for children to do, to be able to do, to stop thinking about the outside world and do some music or drama activities. Social skills, discipline, because things take a lot of practice. Teamwork skills, coordination and motor skills, and also divergent thinking. So using both the left and the right sides of your brain. They've done lots of studies to see, and they've found out that musicians often use both parts of their brain more often than many other professions. Spatial temporal skills, so visualizing different elements and how they should go together. Some musical terms that I might talk about in this live stream, just to explain what some of them mean. So beat and pulse, so this is the underlying beat of the music to help you keep in time. It's often what you will tap your foot to. So I often tell my younger students that it's the heartbeat, so it's constant. Okay, it might get faster, but it's constant and consistent. And then rhythm on top of that, it's a combination of long and short sounds and silences to create a pattern and show movement. So if I'm tapping the beat, I could play a rhythm, ta, ti, ti, ticka, ticka, ta. So it's changes and it's different to the beat, but the beat helps you keep in time. And often with music, if you're singing a song, the words will be the rhythm of the music, will show the rhythm. Tempo is the speed of the music, so how fast or slow. Duration ties in a bit with rhythm, so it's the length of a sound or value of a note. So I will talk a little bit more about that later, about the different note lengths, so the most common ones. Pitch is how high or low a sound is, so high notes, low notes, and pitch and melody go together, so a sequence of notes played to different rhythms. So you'll have a rhythm, and you can put different notes, and that will make your melody. Okay, so if you have a song, the main melody that they sing in the song is the changing pitch of the notes. Dynamics is volume, so how loud or soft sound is. Okay, the first game, I call it hip hop. It's a call and response game, so it's really good for memory, concentration, keeping in time, and really listening skills and just focusing. So you get your students in a circle, and as the teacher, you're the leader, and the leader calls different things, and there are certain responses for each call. So in the table here, you can see the leader. If I clap, the children have to click. So I would clap, they have to remember to click, clap, and then they click. Whereas if I click, then they have to clap. So I click, and then they clap. Now, usually I would just start with those two because it can be quite confusing. So if I clap, they would click. If I click, then they clap. And I can mix it up. I could do repeats a couple. And then I can start to add in other calls. So if I do hip, if I say hip, I swing my hip to the side a little bit. I say hip, and then the children have to hop. So I say hip, and then they hop. Hip, and then they hop. And if I say hop, and I hop on the spot and say the word hop, they have to hip. So hip and hop it seems simple, but it gets quite confusing. Sometimes when I say hop and they should just say hip and move their hip, students will jump and move their hip and do both at the same time because they're getting confused. So it's quite a tricky game, but they are really fun. The next one is bon. If I say bon, then they have to say fire, bon, fire. If I say fire, they say exit. So fire, they say exit. If I say dog, they say woof. If I say duck, and I put my hands above my head, duck, they say quack, and they move their arms like a duck, quack. Soldier, if I say soldier, they have to say attention. If I say roller, and I roll my hands in front of me, they have to say coaster, and they put their arms in the air like they're on a roller coaster. If I say disco, they say fever, so they put their hand on their hip and then out, like the disco dance. If I say gingerbread, they have to say, "Come in, my pretties," with a witchy voice. That one always makes students laugh quite a lot. These few last ones, my year 1 class actually made up. They came up with some ideas. So you could ask the students for ideas of extra calls and responses that you could add to the game. So if I say banana, they say split. If I say crocodile, they say snap. If I say Aussie, they say oi. If I say hi-ho silver, they say shh. And if I say call the cops, they all have to say leg it, and then everyone has to move and change place in the circle. So that one, you might have to really warn children before not to run and not to push and to be careful not to run into anyone when they're quickly changing places. So a really fun call and response game. Obviously, this game you could play over quite a few weeks and you wouldn't tell them all of them at once. So the first time I play it, I might only say clap and click, hip and hop, fire and exit, and duck and quack. I might only just give them 4 different ones the first time and see if they can remember that. And then each time I play, I might add 2 or 3 more just to slowly, gradually help them remember them. Otherwise, if you give them too many at once, it's quite difficult. I'm hoping a few people are saying the slides are a bit blurry. When you download it, you will be able to see it clearly. So hopefully you'll be able to maybe watch the video again and listen to my explanations of the slides. Okay, this one, musical movements. This is good for younger students, so like foundation to year 2. It's basically giving each musical note a movement that matches the length of the note. So it helps children to understand the rhythm and different note values. It's really a great way for young children to feel the music before they have to learn to read and write and play it. It's based on a Dalcroze Eurythmics approach to music, which is from Émile Jacques Dalcroze, and his idea was that all gestures have a sound and all sounds have a gesture, and that you have to train your body before you train anything else with music. And so Eurythmics, Dalcroze Eurythmics, well, Eurythmics literally means good rhythm. So this game is all about that Dalcroze Eurythmics approach to music education. So you can see on this side there's different notations. I've got the picture, so what the notes look like. So I wouldn't necessarily show the children these. I would teach them all about it orally so that they hear the sounds first and they assign movements to the sounds. And then once they're doing that, you can start to introduce the different notes. So this first note here is called a crotchet. That's its musical name. But you might also have heard things like ta, ti, ti, etc. They are the rhythm syllables that help you learn, that sound like the note, that help you with the timing of the note. So notation of a crotchet, ta, it's just a ta because it's one sound on the beat and it's worth 1 whole beat. So if this is my beat, ta, 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 etc. So for that crotchet, I would give them, it's walking. So I would often play music on the piano, different songs with different rhythms, and I would just make things up, and they would have to move to the different notes. They would hear the different note values and be able to move to them. But you can just use like rhythm sticks. So just keeping the beat. So if they hear this, they know that that's walking. So time they're walking slowly. The next one is a TT. You can see there's 2 notes joined with the little stem there. It's a TT. They're called quavers. So they're worth half a beat each. So basically it's 2 together means it's 2 even sounds on the beat. So T, T. So if this is my beats, T, 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 teeth, teeth, teeth. And that one there, the quavers, is jogging on the spot. I make it jogging on the spot so that children don't run around and knock each other over. You would need a bit of space for this. It's great to be able to do this in a hall. I used to do this as a warm-up game when I taught year 1 before I taught PE, actually, and they absolutely loved this game. I was lucky I had a piano in the hall, so I was able to just play. So you would be able to hear that guitar. If you go to toot, 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 they can hear the difference and they know that that's running or jogging on the spot. Now the next one, 2, is a bit trickier. It's a minimum. It's worth 2 beats. Now it's a longer sound that's held over 2 beats. When you're using sticks to just tap, you can't make the note last very long and sustain the note. So a good thing to use is a guiro, which is an instrument like down here. It's got the little bumps on there so you can make the notes last longer. I don't have a guiro with me, but it's a similar thing to, I've got the spine of a book here. When you roll it along, it makes a sound, and you can make it hold for 2 beats or 2 counts. So it's 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 counts. When we clap that, if you clap and then slide your arm up, your hand up your arm, 2, 2. So you can hear that it's a longer note and it's lasting 2 beats. So with the 2 note, if they hear that longer held 2 note, they have to slide their feet along the ground, a bit like they're ice skating or something. And then za, this one down here, it's 1 beat of silence. So it's called a crotchet rest because it's the same length as a crotchet note, 1 beat, but it's silent, so there's nothing. So if I stop tapping or I stop playing, then they have to freeze. So they're putting movements to all of the notes. The walking, ta, 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 and then teet-tees, teet-teet, teet-teet for jogging, and then 2, 2, 2, and then za, just rest, and they have to freeze. So a great one for younger students. They really love that because they have to really listen and start to feel the notes. Okay, next one, poison rhythm. This one's really fun. You can do it with, I've mostly done it with older students, but I've started to do it with some younger students. It's an echo clapping game. So I'm sure you've seen games where teacher claps a rhythm and the students have to echo the rhythm. It's like that, but you give the students a poison rhythm. So the poison rhythm, they cannot clap that one back. So clap it for them a couple of times. For example, I would start with an easy sort of rhythm like ta, ta, ti, ti, ta. So ta, ta, ti, ti, ta. And if you say the rhythm syllables to help them, ta, ta, ti, ti, ta, that they can get that in their head and they can keep that and remember that. You could write it on the board if you need to as well to help the students until they understand the game. So they need to know that if I clap that rhythm, they do not clap that one back. So they clap back any other rhythm that I clap, but not the poison rhythm. It's a very fun game. It's easy to trick them up, and if you clap something that's very similar to the poison rhythm but slightly different, just to try to see if they're really listening. My year 5s and 6s really love this game. It often gets to the stage where they look around and they try to help each other and they'll be like, shh, don't clap when they hear the poison rhythm. So sometimes I say, okay, don't help each other, just listen yourselves. Don't tell anyone if it's the poison rhythm. You can also build up and make it more difficult by making the poison rhythm a bit difficult with more difficult rhythms, like a ticker ticker. So this one here, a ticker ticker, is 4 sounds on the beat. So basically each one of these is worth a quarter of a beat. So there's your maths coming into music there. So if this is my beat, that second one is ticker ticker ti ticka, ta. So ticka, ticka. So don't go too fast because if you give a really fast beat, they're going to have to clap ticka tickas really fast and they're not going to be able to do that, and it's going to be difficult for you to clap them as well. So if your beat is too fast, you're going to have to be clapping ticka 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 ticka, and that just gets too difficult for them when they're trying to learn these rhythms. So quite an easy game, something that's really you don't need any resources for really. You can just quickly say, let's play Poison Rhythm. I do it quite often as a starter or as a plenary, and the children really love it. They often ask, can we play Poison Rhythm? So hopefully your children will love it as well. The next game, Zip Zap Zop. You might have played this one before or heard it before. Now, this one, standing in a circle, you choose a person to start, and the person who starts chooses the direction that the game will go. So if I start, I might decide to go left. Now, the first time if I start, I have to say zip to that next person, and that person has to continue that way, going the same way, and then they say zap, and then the next person has to zop, but they don't zop, they can't zop to the person next to them, they have to zop across the circle to someone different, or they could skip, they have to skip at least one person. And it always has to be that order, zip, zap, zop. It can't change. So often you'll get students get confused and I might say zip and the next person says zip as well, then they would be out. But before you start making it an elimination game, let them have a bit of a practice and get used to the rules of the game. So with the sequence, always zip, zap, zop. If you get to the person who needs to zop and they don't zop across, or they just zop to the person next to them, they would also be out. So I have done a little picture to help try to explain it. So if this is the person that starts, they say they've decided to go zip that way. And so this person has to continue zap. And then this person now, they need to zop across the circle. They can't zop to someone next to them. They could have gone to just skip one person if they want to, but they've zopped here. And then this person can decide which way to go. They could have gone left or right. They've chosen to go right. So zip, they've gone that way, and then zap that way. And that person, the next one is zop. They have to zop across. So it's always zip, zap, zop. So when you receive the zop and then you go back to zip, start again on zip, you can decide which way you go, but it has to continue that way. So this game, it's a quick thinking game. If students take too long, if they stand there and they're thinking too much, I often say, okay, you're out as well, and they just sit down where they are because it's all about thinking quickly and trying to keep a steady beat. Another game is called Zoof. It's very similar to Zip, Zap, Zop, but it's just a bit more difficult. So basically you have to send the Zoof quickly around the circle by pointing the two hands. So whoever starts, if I start, I can decide which way I want to go. If I decide to go this way, I say Zoof. That person has to continue that way as well. Now, they can continue and go Zoof, but they might decide to block me. So if they block, they put their hands up to me and they say block, then I have to turn and go back the other way. I can't block their block. So if they blocked me, I'm turning and I'm going Zoof the other way now to the next person. Then that person needs to continue that way, but they also might decide to block me as well. If that person blocks me, then I would be stuck in between two people who have blocked me. So the only way to get out is to Shazam. So to Shazam, I use my two hands and I point to someone and say Shazam. Make sure eye contact so the person I'm pointing to knows that I'm pointing to them. Otherwise, it gets very confusing. So that Shazam person who receives the Shazam, then they can decide which way to go, left or right, to start doing the Zoof again. When I Shazam to someone, that person can't block me. They have to accept it and continue the Zoof around. I've got a picture for this one as well. I've numbered it to help you. So you can see the number 1, the starter is the first one, number 1. Zoof to the person on the left of them. That person keeps going. Zoof, the second movement. Number 3, they zoof again. Now this person here with the purple block, they've blocked that person. So the 5th movement, that person has had to turn around and zoof back. But then number 6, they have blocked as well. So this person is now stuck in the middle of 2 blocks. So they have to Shazam out. So they've Shazammed out to this person across the circle. And then that person here decides which way they want to go. And they've decided to go zoof to the right of them. That's step 8. And then zoof continuing. And it would continue to keep going around unless people blocked them. And then it would change up a bit. So this one here, it's quite tricky. I've done it with my 5s and 6s. And they really like it. It's at first they might say, I don't understand. The easiest way is to just start playing the game so they can practically see and explain as you go along. It's the easiest way for them to be able to visually see what's happening and what's going on. And they pick it up really quickly. But if you do it with any younger students, let me know, because I haven't tried it with younger students. It would be interesting to see if they were able to do it. So lots of concentration for that game and quick thinking. The next game is Alphabet About Me. So another circle game, sitting in the circle, another quick thinking game. Students need to keep the beat on their legs, so just keeping a steady beat, not too fast or it will get very difficult. As the teacher, you might want to keep the beat on some sticks as well to help them. So the first person in the circle starts with the letter A. So if I'm the first person, I'm letter A, then the next person would be B, then C, D, etc., and it carries on. So I have to think of words that start with the letter A to fit the lyrics, these lyrics here. So, for example, I'm keeping the beat. My name's Anna. My friend's name is Aaron. We sell accordions and we live in Alaska. Oh, I said that wrong. Alaska. So then the next person would go, my name is Bill. My friend's name is Ben. We sell bongos and we live in Bolivia. And then the next person would be C. And it continues on. It's quite tricky because they're having to try to think of words that begin with that letter. Sometimes you might think they won't be able to think of something, but they will surprise you. My classes have always surprised me with their geography knowledge. So when you say, and we live in, it doesn't have to be a country. It could be a city. It could be a state. It could be a suburb. Some people said like different things, like when they got to H, and we live in a house. So that's fine as long as it makes sense. Try to make sure that it does make sense. You will always get a few students that be a bit silly, but you might want to also try to help them, give them little hints. That if they got to D and they can't think of something, and we sell, I might like bark, I might say woof, and that gives them a quick help, a quick hint. Often students will start calling things out and trying to help other people because they have lots of ideas and they're excited about the ideas that they've thought of. But I make it a rule that they need to keep their ideas themselves, don't steal other people's answers, give other people a chance to think for themselves, because otherwise it just ruins it and doesn't let them have a fair go. So a fun game, and there's some of the letters are quite difficult. So I had a few students that went home and researched, and they came back with some countries and some places with letters that we couldn't think of. So that's really nice to see that as well. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. This one is quite tricky. So I do this with my older students, year 6 and older, and high school students. when I learnt this game, it was a group of adults and we found it quite tricky. But once you understand the rules, it gets a bit easier. So basically, you have to sit in a circle on chairs. So you need to sit on chairs because each chair will be assigned a number or a name. So starting with, it always starts with Matthew. And it goes around clockwise. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And then you start numbering them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. all the way around to however many students you have. I've only got 12 on this circle, but you might go up to like 21, 22, depending how many children you have in your class. So the students need to keep the beat by tapping their toes and their feet. And you can, as a teacher, you can click and keep the beat as well to help them. They need to be able to stay in time for this game. Now, for example, I'll give you an example of how we play. So the first person that starts is Matthew. So Matthew always starts. So Matthew might say Matthew to 2. And then the person who's sitting on chair 2 has to respond. And they might say 2 to John. And then John might say John to 12. And then the 12 person might say 12 to 1. And you need to keep in time. If you get out of time or you don't keep to the rhythm and miss a beat, then you're out and you have to move places. So if we're keeping to the beat, it might be Matthew to 3, 3 to Mark, Mark to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 11. And then 11 maybe skips and doesn't realise that it's their turn. So then now 11 has to stand up and move to the end. 11 now becomes the last number, whichever the last number. In this example, they would move to 12, and then 12 would have to move up to 11 in that instance. Only one person has had to move. So whoever makes the mistake, for example, if it went John to 2, and then 2 forgot that they were number 2 and they didn't come in time, 2 would have to stand and move and go over to number 12. And then everyone would have to stand and move up around the circle. So 2 would go to number 12, 12 would stand and go to 11, 11 would stand and go to 10, 10 to 9, 9 to 8, etc., all the way around to number 2. In that instance, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and 1 wouldn't move. They wouldn't need to move. So you have to remember that the chairs keep the same numbers and names. It's the people that move and change numbers. So it can be very tricky to remember. If 2, for example, then had to move, and they went to 12, and everyone moved up, everyone would have to remember, okay, 3 would have to remember, I've moved across now to 2, and then 4 would have to move, remember, I've moved up to 3, 5 would move up to 4. So it's pretty tricky. It's very fun, though, and a lot of the time, you might have 5 or 6 times in a row that people just can't get it right, and everyone's having to move, but it's a lot of fun. If Matthew got it wrong, so if it went 2 to Matthew, and then Matthew skipped a beat and forgot, Matthew would have to stand up and move to 12, and then 12 would have to move, 11 would have to move, everyone would have to move, Mark would have to move to where Matthew was. So not every time, not everyone will have to move every time that someone makes a mistake. It depends where it is in the circle. So a fun game, you might want to start off, you might want to put numbers on the chairs, like have the backs, children sitting with the backs of the chairs facing the center of the circle, and put numbers and the names on the chairs a few times until you understand the game, until they figure it out, and then rip off the band-aid, take off the numbers and the names, and make children remember. So it's tricky. If you're sitting on 5 and you have to move now, you have to remember, okay, I was up just on 5, I'm now moving up to 4. If someone says 4, says number 4, I have to respond. So a very fun game. The bigger the group, it is a bit harder because a lot more people are moving and you have a lot more numbers. So, but it's still a great game. That's a bigger picture there for you just to see. So if John, for example, made a mistake, he would have to get up and move over to 12. And so 12 would move up, 11 would move up, all of the numbers would move up right up to 1. 1 would move up to John, but those 3 would stay where they are. Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they wouldn't need to move. Okay. This one here, Give Me One, is a call and response game, another rhythm and counting game. The teacher calls different numbers to signify how many taps and claps, and there's a pattern, but students have to really listen and need to be counting. So this is a really good game because in music often you might have rests and you might have quite a few rests that you have to count and know where you're up to in the music. So if I say, give me 1, then the students pat their knees once and then clap. If I say, give me 2, they're clapping twice, clap, and then clap twice again. If I say, give me 3, they would pat their knees 3 times. 1, 2, 3, clap. 1, 2, 3, clap. 1, 2, 3, clap. Have you picked up the pattern yet? Give me 4. Pat the knees 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, clap. 1, 2, 3, 4, clap. 1, 2, 3, 4, clap. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the pattern is basically the number tells you how many times to clap. So give me 1, you're clapping once, and you're doing it once. If I say give me 2, you pat your knees twice, clap, and then you have to do it again. If I said 2, so everything in 2s. If you say give me 3, you pat your knees 3, clap. 1, 2, 3, clap. That's the second time. 1, 2, 3, clap. That's the third time. So the pattern there is often quite interesting to see who picks up on the pattern. Then you could also keep going and you might say, give me 5 and see if they can figure out the pattern. They would have to pat 2, 3, 4, 5 times and clap and then do that 5 times. A good way to help with counting is if I said, give me 4, it gets a bit confusing because they're counting 4 times. Patting 4 times, they're counting that, then they have to think about, how many times have I done that? And they can get quite confused. So one thing you could do is for give me 4 is pat 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. I know to stop there because I did it 4 times. Hopefully that makes sense. It's really helpful in music, as I said before, if you have rests. There's been times where I've played in orchestras and things and I've had like 20 bars of rests in 4 times. So there's 4 beats. I have to count to 4 20 times and you can easily get lost. So if you do that counting, for example, like with 6, if I had 6 bars, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I'm counting like that in my head, I know I've done enough. It's a tricky one, but a helpful one for counting and students understanding that they always need to be counting when they're performing and doing music things. Next one, stop and go. Now, if you are getting ready for a drama production, this is a really good one because it's thinking about space. Students need to be thinking about space on the stage so that they're not just all crammed up in one little section of the stage. They should be using the whole stage. This is a good one for a hall if you've got a big space to do this one. So you have everyone walk around the room using the space and not getting too close to anyone else. So they have to constantly be thinking and looking for the open spaces and watching where there's a space and where they can walk. So they're not walking fast, okay? They're just walking slowly. As they get better at it, you can pick up the pace and make it a bit more challenging. Then you add in action. So stop, go, clap, and jump. Now, it's amazing how when they're thinking about doing an action like clapping or even jumping, that they forget about looking for the space, and then they, run into someone or get too close to someone. So you have to constantly remind them, keep looking out for the space. Then you can swap the actions and make it a bit more difficult. So stop means go and clap means jump. So if I say clap, they have to actually jump. If I say go, they need to stop. That makes it a bit confusing. They're having to really think. Then you can replace the actions with numbers. So 1 equals stop, 2 equals go, 3 equals jump, and 4 equals clap. So if I say 3, they know they have to jump. If I say 4, they have to clap. If I say 1, they would stop. Then you can also add in that they only do the actions if you say the numbers. So if I say 3, they would jump. But if I said jump, they shouldn't jump. A bit like kind of Simon Says, a twist on Simon Says. So they're only responding to the numbers. It's very easy to get people out on that one because you hear the word clap and they just do it because they're thinking so hard. But and then they're also trying to remember the numbers as well. So very good concentration game and spatial awareness and being working together and making sure that they don't run into each other. So that one, year 4 and above, it's a good one. Younger students, you could do this with them and maybe not do the number part. You could just do the stop, go, clap, and jump. That would be easy for the younger ones to do. You never know, they could get quite good at it, and you could add in the numbers. Next one, tongue twisters. I love tongue twisters. They're quite tricky, and students often love them as well. It's a bit of a challenge. You could give these to them to take home to practice. So Betty Botter bought a bit of butter, but she said the butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. So she bought a bit of butter better than the bitter butter, and she put it in the batter, and the batter wasn't bitter. So it was better. Betty Botter bought a bit of better butter. It's tricky, that one. I actually find the next one more tricky. Big black bug. A big black bug bit a big black bear and made the big black bear bleed blood. The big black bear bleed blood. I always want to say big black Blair. It's because of the boo sounds there. It's quite tricky. A great one for young kids to practice their pronunciation, and diction is really important in drama and in music as well. Diction is being able to understand what people are saying and saying things clearly. She died, so she died, she did, she died of a broken rib, she did, she died, she did, she died of a broken rib, she did. She died, she did, she did, she died of a broken rib, she died, she did, of a broken rib, she died, she did. So some fun tongue twisters there. Attention grabbers. These ones are just little things that I use to get the focus back on me as a class teacher. I've used these as a classroom teacher as well when I was teaching year 1 and just general classroom, and not just as a music teacher. So the first one is shark. If I say shark, anytime, like they could be working and need them to stop and listen, say shark. They do the Jaws theme, so they do 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 do. So they make the fin with the first two, do 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 do, and then the last one they cross their arms, do do, and they're stopping and they're listening and focusing on the teacher. They love this one. The students, I never ever had anyone that didn't stop and do that and listen, especially the young ones. They are excited to do it. Then snake. This one, my year 1s. I had a great little year 1 class in London, and they came up with this one. They said, "Oh, can we do a different animal?" I said, "Sure. What should we do?" And they said snake. I think we were learning the sound, and so they came up with snake. And so if I say snake, they have to say like this, wiggle their arms, and then cross their arms in front of them. So wiggling like a snake in front of them, and then crossing and listening. Another one, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's so many different rhymes and things teachers use to get the attention of the class, but I try to use things that don't require me to say much, just to save my voice. So like shark, snake, that's very easy to do. The 1, 2, 3, 4 one is you assign 4 different places in the classroom a number. So 1 I usually have at the front of the class at the whiteboard, usually where I would be standing when I want their attention. So 1 is the whiteboard, 2 might be on the left-hand side in the window, 3 might be at the back of the class, for example, a clock, if you have a clock on the wall, and 4 would be on the other side, the right side of the classroom, might be the door, okay, to the classroom. So anytime I shout out those numbers, the students have to stop and they have to look to the corresponding place. So if I said 2, they'll be looking out the window. Everyone stops and looks there. If I said 4, they'll look in the door. 3 at the back. And you could go fast. You could go 2, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 1. Move them around so they're focusing. It's a bit of a break and a fun game for them. And then I'd end on 1, wherever I am, if I'm at the front of the classroom with the whiteboard, I'd say 1. So they look forward and they're looking at me. They really love doing that. And it gets everyone quite excited about racing and trying to do it fast as well. I wouldn't change the places. I'd keep the same places for each number. I wouldn't change it every day or something, because that would be quite confusing for them if you have, especially if you have students that are away one day and they come in and they don't know what the corresponding numbers are. Just have the same numbers and places so you can use it quite easily throughout the year. Some useful Twinkl music resources. Some of these are ones that I really love. I have these up in my classroom. Musical elements flashcards. They are smaller flashcards, but I have put them on my wall as a display as well. And my students, especially my older students, my 5s and 6s, they use it a lot, going up to use it when they're having to write about music. The note value displays, these ones are great as well. It tells you the names of the different notes and how many beats there were, their value. The notation tree chart is really great as well. I showed this to one of my year 5 and 6 classes last year, and it blew some of their minds because it shows you the mathematical side to music, how the notes break down. And in this notation tree, you can see the top note is worth 4 beats, and then it breaks in half and it becomes 2 notes that are worth 2 beats each, and then they break in half and there's 4 notes that have 1 beat each. And you can see that the sort of fraction size, how they break up. They really like that, and they can figure out how many beats each of the notes are worth, half beats or quarter beats or 1 beat. So they really liked that one. Dynamics display poster, telling them about the dynamics and the different musical terms for dynamics. So loud and soft, forte, piano, etc. Tempo poster. This one's really good because it's useful for even younger students like preps, because it has these little pictures next to them of like a cow or a snail, and it shows you, largo means slow and it's got a snail next to it, whereas presto has a cheetah next to it, so you know that's very fast. So those are really helpful visual cues. This one here is a new display. It's a music classroom setup pack. There are so many resources in there. It's just everything you need. There's banners and door displays and posters about the orchestra and how to play different instruments. There's also a PowerPoint in there, so you can edit it and do your own music lessons. Just change the success criteria, and it has the nice template and pictures in it. So everything you could possibly need in there. So some of these resources I will be putting into the Twinkl Australia teaching group. So if you're not joined up to our teaching group, head over there and these resources will be made free. I'll put the link to them for you so you can download them. I've also got a few music activities. These ones here, it's a rhythm and pulse lesson. So it's exploring rhythm and pulse using your clapping and using your feet and being able to keep the beat with your foot on different beats and clap. So that's a really fun activity. Also a body percussion PowerPoint. It's great for younger students to learn about how they can make different sounds with different parts of their body. And music challenge cards, these ones are great as well. They have different challenges, like they have a pattern of different coloured shapes, and it said you have to assign a different sound to each shape and each colour, and just it's sort of introducing how you can make music by making different patterns. And then talking about high and low sounds, can you make some high and low sounds? So really helpful, just introducing sort of the basic concepts to students before they have to read music and write actual music notation on the start. Next one is some drama activities as well. I love these ones, the mime challenge cards. So there's heaps of different ideas in there. It might be, so there's a weather presenter, someone winning a race, an angry car driver. You might just tell the students to do it, or you might give different groups or different students a different mime card, and then they have to mime it for the class, and the class has to guess. So many different things you could do with that. Really fun. And say it another way drama activities, this one here. So you might give them a line to say, it might just be, I love bananas. And they have to say it in different sort of characters. So they might you might say it as though you're in a hurry. So they have to say that line as though they're in a hurry. Say it as though you're telling a secret. Say it as though you're very tired. Say it as though you're very angry. So it's working on their voice and being able to change characters and emotions. One-line improvisation drama game. You give them the first line and then they have to say something after. So it might be, you might say, oh dear, it's all gone wrong. And then the student has to continue. Now, I wouldn't make them stand up there and talk for a minute or something. You might just say the next sentence or next two sentences. This one was, I have never seen anything like it in my life. And then they have to quickly think and just add on a line to it, the next line. A fun improv game. The character walk is a great one. So you give them a different character and they have to walk like that. So it might be birds of prey, walk like a dog, walk like a princess, walk like an elderly person, walk like you've just won $1,000. So really interesting to see that they can act without having to, it's not always about speech and not always about talking. So some things are just about mannerisms and gestures. So seeing what they can come up with. It's really fun to see what they come up with. Human objects, I love this one. You put children in a group of, say, maybe 4 or 5, and you give them an object that they have to make with their bodies. You could give them a minute or a couple of minutes to think about it. I often, with older children, I just count down and I only don't give them very long, maybe 10 seconds, and I'll count down 10, 9, and they have to quickly form and make the object. So say if it is a clock, I'll count down 10, 9, and they form the object. And then once they get to 0, I say freeze. They need to freeze their object. And then I go around and they demonstrate their object to the class. They might have a moving part. So I usually say, can you have a moving part in there? So it might be, someone might be moving and doing the clock arms. If you had a candle, someone might be the flame, the fire of the candle. When you say unfreeze, they show off how their object moves. washing machine is quite a funny one to do. It's always very interesting. You might have 5 or 6 groups, but usually every group has thought of something different. So it's really nice to see the creative and imaginations of the children. The end of here, I've also put just a little bit of information about some further reading that you might want to do about music pedagogy. So I mentioned earlier Delacroix's Eurythmics. It's the music and the movement from Émile Jacques Delacroix, his approach to music education, about teaching your body and learning music through your body first before you learn anything else, before you learn to write and read music. So every gesture and every gesture has a sound, and every sound has a gesture. So he believes like anything you do, like standing up, you could put a sound to that, or like yawning, you can put a sound or some kind of music to that. So it's really interesting. There's also some links that you can check out as well. Kodai method as well. I'm sure lots of people have probably seen this word. Kodai, they use the solfege. So if you've heard, I'm sure everyone's heard or seen Sound of Music, the do, a dear, a female dear, so do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. They use that. And so the whole approach to this method is that children hear things first and then they sing, so then they can begin to understand before they read and write and create. And he also used singing as the basis. So singing was the basis of the system. And the last one is off. So they're all very similar, and they all have quite similar ideas about and beliefs that a person needs to experience something first before they can understand something. So it's all to do with encouraging children to have a go at their own level, so putting things at their level. And through off, they use a lot of movement and singing and drama and speech as well, not just singing, speech and chants. And I really like the quote here. I think it sums up, it can be used for education, just everything, I think, really, with teaching. Tell me I forget, show me I remember, involve me I understand. I love that quote. I think it's fantastic and very helpful for teachers when you're planning. I'm just having a look to see, hopefully this has been really helpful. I'll just have a look to see if there are any questions. If you have any questions, a few people are saying, yes, a few people have said that they aren't able to see the slides very well, so it's been a bit blurry, the video. So we'll upload the slides. So we've made a Twinkl resource with this PowerPoint with everything that you need. So you'll be able to download that. It's just a new resource. So Aaron has asked, do I use a metronome? I don't usually use a metronome, well, in my classes, just as a classroom, when I'm teaching classroom music. I usually just keep the beat myself. I'm pretty good at keeping a steady beat and not getting faster or slower. But I have shown a lot of my students a metronome. I actually have one. Here we go, a stand-up metronome. This is what I always used to use when I was learning music when I was younger. So you can change the tempo, and it's quite useful because you can see it move, especially if you're playing a loud instrument or you're quite loud. You can also download, it's great, there's so many metronome apps that you can download as well if you wanted to, if you weren't confident keeping the beats for your class yourself. And also I always get all my students, like instrumental students, when I used to teach instrumental music, to download one as well, because it's something that takes a long time to be able to develop that inner beat and keep inner beat and tempo and keep to that steady beat without getting faster or slower. It is difficult. Marie is saying that these games will be such great brain breaks, definitely. Yes, when I wasn't teaching music, I taught year 1 for 4 years in the UK, and I used to do a lot of these different games with my students just as a brain break, or if it was wet play or snowing or something, we would have to stay inside, we could play these games. And often you can sometimes students, especially older students, they get good enough at playing the game themselves that you don't even have to leave the game anymore. You can just sort of walk around and, you know, they will just figure out and they will play the game themselves. So useful for things like wet play and times like that, or drama club and things. You might have drama clubs at your school. Layla saying Zip Zap Zop is simple and fun. It is. It's so simple, but it's really fun, and they get very competitive, but it's great to see. 1, 2, only links in Twinkl that have year 1, 2 games and curriculum for music. There are a few different things. I will pop some links into the teaching group to help you. Amy's saying great brain breaks in your year 5, 6. Is it possible to have a similar PD on PE games? That's a really great idea, because we actually have quite a lot of PE games up on Twinkl as well, and it's part of our Twinkl Move. If you haven't checked out Twinkl Move, there are lots of really great PE units and planning all done for you, and there's lots of really great teamwork games. If you search teamwork games, there's some really good ones. This drama game, the human objects one, will pop up as a teamwork game. Let's see, great. Gemma saying great game. I do a similar version with favorite colors, food, animals. Excellent. That's nice. Oh, it's nice to see that a few people have played some of the games already. Oh, a class of 60 year 6 students in a double class. I think Lizzie Deand, you should try out Zip Zap Zop. That would be amazing in a big class like that. See how they go. Rhonda, thank you. One of the most useful PDs. I'm glad it's been helpful. I know just coming up with ideas can sometimes just be difficult, because you don't want the students to get bored, but then often there will be some games that they just always go back to, like Shazam, they just keep coming back to, or Zoof and Zip Zap Zop, they constantly say, can we play that, can we play that? And they say, do you want to play something different? But no, they don't get sick of it. Relief teacher settings. So who was that? KR Clary is saying that in the relief teacher setting, definitely these are great games. I've used these over the years when I taught as a relief teacher in the UK. These were really helpful if I went into a classroom and there was nothing left, or they finished all the work that was left. I was like, okay, I could just pull out a few of these games. Barbara Booker, oh, thank you. I'm glad that the games have been helpful for you. Just checking. Fiona Connell said I haven't missed the link for the slides presented during this live stream. I have in the in the info of this live stream, there is a link there that goes to the resource that was made of my slides. It looks a little bit different. It's like an orange PowerPoint, but we'll also pop it up in the Twinkl, our Facebook teaching group as well, so that it's there for you. Link for all the cards for the drama activities. Yes, I will definitely jump onto the teaching group and put the list of those ones on there for you. Where can you get, Maria saying, where can you get decent rhythm sticks? Modern teaching aids have them. Usually a music store should be able to get them for you. I don't actually have any rhythm sticks on me at the moment. I'm just using drum sticks, but they do the job really as well. Offcuts from Bunnings do. Yeah, you probably could just get some like dowel or something to do that. I've never thought about doing that. That's good. A good idea. I hope I haven't missed anyone. Yes, Brooke Wielden saying you can rewatch the video. The video will be up on our Twinkl Australia Facebook page so that you can rewatch it, and I'll put the link up for the slides. This link is in the description. Emily Circus, oh, thank you, Emily, for your lovely comments. I'm glad I can help. I'm very passionate about music and, the arts. And I know often it's difficult to fit it into the curriculum because there's just so much to do. But it is really beneficial for children, and it's just lovely for them to do. And I know I have most of my adult friends who don't play musical instruments or do anything musical all say that they wish that they had done it when they were younger. So hopefully we're giving the kids that opportunity so they don't have to have those regrets later. Are there more music resources? There's a few different ones. If you type into our Twinkl music resources, there's a few different lesson PowerPoints, so smaller lessons. Ashwini Singh was asking that. I think. Yes, Lizzie's saying, sadly, the arts are sacrificed, yet they give so much. Yeah, I think definitely, especially in these times, especially last year and with the lockdown and not being able to go out and go to concerts and go see all the different arts things, people have actually started to realize just how beneficial and how useful it is for, just relaxing and, being transported to a different place, taking you out of your daily life. A few people are saying, will there be a certificate, a participation certificate? We're not actually, it's not an accredited course or anything, so we can't provide certificates, but it could be used as like your teacher-directed PD. Okay, I think I have answered everyone's questions. Hopefully I didn't miss any. If you have any more questions, if you want to quickly type them in before I go. And I will hop straight on and put up some links to some free links to the different music and drama activities, and some extra links people are asking about, some different things. Do you have the standards and a blurb for the NESA, for the online PD? Oh, I can look at doing that. We can add something to the Twinkl Australia teaching group to help you out. Definitely. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I'm really glad that it's been helpful. And if you use any of these ideas, definitely post about them in our teaching group. I'd love to see them, and it's always really entertaining hearing what happens, and sometimes some of the different things that people come up with, that the students come up with when they play these games. It's quite entertaining, and it just gives kids a lot of confidence, I think. And it's, with children having lots of anxiety and there's lots more worries and things these days, just giving them a free chance to, not worry about it. I always say to my students, it's not about getting it right. It's about having a go and improving each time you do it, and just having fun, really. And the more and more you do games like this, the more confidence they'll be able to build, and they'll be less afraid to get up and perform and do speeches and all different things. So thank you again so much for joining. Possibly down track in the future, I might do another one of these because I have so many games and I just realized I've gone over an hour. So I've kept you for a long time. But we'll hopefully might even do a blog down the future. So keep an eye out on our Twinkl Australia teaching group. We've had so many new members this week. Amazing. And we're so glad to have everyone there. Everyone's so helpful and everyone gives lots of info and feedback and ideas. And it's a really nice teaching and community that we have. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your holidays. Those of you that still have a few days left. I will talk to you next time. Bye for now.